Hello, everybody. How's it going? Hope everything is going well considering. Got a lot to get to today. There's been like multiple leaked memos out of the Department of Homeland Security. I'm not sure if it was like multiple pieces of information in the same one, but there's quite a bit to get to there. Um, First, while I'm waiting for things to kind of get going, I want to go over this Board of Peace thing. First, though, I saw this video. Let's see. It's ridiculous that they were cutting up a cake of Greenland, but apparently.
All right, Tom and I are ready. 3, 2, 1, start time.
Then we got more stuff coming out of Davos. Elon Musk being flippant about the whole imperialism thing. But he has in the past said we'll coup who we want to coup. And I think he was talking about somewhere in South America. I'm not sure if it was Venezuela or.
I heard about the formation of the Peace Summit, and I was like, is that PIEC? Little piece of Greenland, a little piece of Venezuela.
we got one.
All we want is peace.
Were you able to hear that? I didn't have my speaker on, so I missed it, but I'm pretty sure it still plays. Let's see. Then we got, so through this weird ass Board of Peace thing, Trump has declared himself the chairman. And let's look at these terms. It basically is appointing himself lifetime leader of the world. Of course, this only holds, value with the people who have participated in it, which is just a few countries. But let's see what it says. Donald J. Trump shall serve as the inaugural chairman of the Board of Peace, and he shall separately serve as inaugural representative of the United States of America, subject only to the provisions of Chapter 3. The chairman shall have exclusive authority to create, modify, or dissolve subsidy entities as necessary or appropriate to fill the Board of Peace's mission. The chairman shall at all times designate a successor for the role of chairman. Replacement of the chairman may occur only following voluntary resignation or as a result of incapacity. So I know that he wants this to be like a permanent thing that he wants to try to replace the United Nations with. Like, that's his vision. I don't think it would ever happen. But as determined by a unanimous vote of the executive board, which is probably just a bunch of his cronies, at which time the chairman's designated successor shall immediately assume the position of the chairman and all associate duties. So he's basically like gets to pick his successor too. Very, very creepy. Yeah, exactly. Very, very 1984. And speaking of that, war is peace, actually. It's funny that you say that.
That's a lot of that's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the value of peace. Peace is so destructive for everyone, even countries that aren't involved. I mean, it's so destructive for everybody when you have wars.
He's like, peace is so destructive for everybody. And then he's like, oh, when you have wars.
Can you tell us who your Fed pick is, sir?
War is peace. That's exactly what the like peace through strength is, like that whole thing. And apparently 2 of the people on the Board of Peace couldn't show up because they would have been arrested at the airport for war crimes. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but I did, what's it say? False equivalence. I mean, They aren't allowed in most places of the earth, and I didn't see them in the picture. Try to find the picture of everybody. And let's also look at what Jared Kushner had to say, because he's in apparently in charge of the plan to, I guess, fully ethnically cleanse Gaza and put a casino there or something. I'm not too sure, because I haven't listened to this yet, but I'm sure it's along those lines. I saw some slides that he was showing that I'll share in a minute.
Brought in, I thank Yakir Gabay, who's one of the most successful real estate developers and brilliant people I know. He's volunteered to do this, not for profit, really because of his heart. He wants to do this. And we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential. And this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we are going to enforce. People ask us what our plan B is. We do not have a plan B. We have a plan. We signed an agreement. We are all committed to making that agreement work. There's a master plan. We'll be doing it in phasing. In the Middle East, they build cities like this in 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years. And so stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen. Rafa will start with, this will show a lot of workforce.
Yeah, they build those buildings very fast in the Middle East because they often use slave labor, and they take people's passports and they keep them locked in this, that's at least what Dubai is kind of unfortunately famous for. This is what he's planning for the new Rafa. 100K permanent housing units. Like, for who,
housing,
though?
We think this could be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And then New Gaza, it could be a hope, it could be a destination, have a lot of industry, and really be a place that the people there can thrive, have great employment. Once this starts going, we think there should be 100% full employment and opportunity for everybody there. And we have a lot of data on what can be, but we think that this really gives the Gazan people an opportunity to live their aspirations. But it all starts with security, and it all starts with governance. Final note I'll just say on the Board of Peace, which is that all the lessons we're doing is we're basically studying the best practices from all over the world, and we're watching who does education the best, who does healthcare delivery the best. All of these things it's not secret IP. All this is IP that the Board of Peace is going to make public, and we want to encourage all the countries to be able to follow these best practices. A lot of the things that President Trump is doing in America, if they're working, we should all be copying them. If we find what's working in other countries, we should be copying them too. And so what the Board of Peace will have the ability to do if we're successful with Gaza is really show how do you do peace implementation, which is something that when we got this deal done,
He just keeps on saying peace like 3 times a sentence.
we didn't really find too much expertise or know-how on how to do it. So as we're creating this system, hopefully it's something that we can just document these learnings and make them available to all else who want to use them in the future. So demilitarization, this is something we're starting now that we have a new government in Gaza. This government will be working with Hamas on the demilitarization to really take the principles that were agreed to in the.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that this means that they won't be able to defend themselves, that they'll continue to be subjugated if they're disarmament.
Document to the next phase, and hopefully that will be successful. Without that, we can't rebuild. So if Hamas does not demilitarize, that will be what holds back Gaza and the people of Gaza from achieving their aspiration, and that's very important.
Like, if you're policed by a different people and you're like not you know what I mean? That's not
important. So the next 100 days, we're going to continue to just be heads down and focused on making sure this is implemented. We continue to be focused on humanitarian aid, humanitarian shelter, but then creating the conditions to move forward. So thank you. Final point I'll just make is this is really only possible because of the work of so many people and President Trump's great leadership. But a lot of you have been asking, how can we help? So the countries have all been incredibly generous. We'll be doing the first conference where we'll announce a lot of the contributions that will be made in a couple weeks in Washington. From the private sector, there'll be amazing investment opportunities. I know it's a little risky to be investing in a place like this, but we need you to come, take faith, invest in the people, try to be a part of it. And then finally, I'll just talk to people on the media and on the social media, which is this deal only happened because we worked with Israel, we worked with Turkey, we worked with Qatar, we worked with Saudi, we worked with Egypt. I mean, everyone worked together. We worked with UAE. We all.
Yeah, I don't think I see Putin or Netanyahu up there.
work together to make this happen. I see a lot of people trying to escalate, criticizing Israel or Israelis criticizing Turkey or Qatar. Just calm down for 30 days. I think that the war's over. Let's do our best to try working together. Our goal here is peace between Israel and the Palestinian people. Everyone wants to live peacefully. Everyone wants to live with dignity. Let's put our efforts towards promoting those who are doing the work to build this up, like Ali and his committee. Let's focus on the positive stories, and let's just calm down, turn a new chapter. And if we believe that peace is possible, then peace really can be possible. So we're going to continue to work every day. We need all of your help to do it. And again, I just really want to thank President Trump for his leadership in doing this. This would not have been possible without your commitment to this. Everyone thought it was impossible to end this war. You never gave up. You never stopped. Every time.
Apparently, he's been planning this for a while.
Who have, we're working with a group of people who have been working on master plans for the last 2 years.
So there are plans already.
We have plans already. We have a master plan already. And by the way, and Jared's been pushing this, and we're working together. We're working with a group of people.
Yep. See, that's crazy stuff. There's also news out today, or it was kind of like late 2 days ago, that ICE is basically breaking the Fourth Amendment. They think that they could go into any property at any time without a warrant, without a judicial warrant. They just have an administrative warrant, which is just signed by some manager at ICE or whatever, and not an actual judge, which means that there has not been actual, due process, or I think that's the term. Yeah. So ICE secretly told its officers that anytime someone has been ordered removed, ICE can break down their door. And they were very secretive about this as well. Let's take a look at the actual article that came out from the Associated Press. Because they're saying essentially that, if we suspect that somebody is in a house that is ordered for, deportation, then we should be able to get in there. And it's like, well, yeah, you probably could if you went through the legal channels and got a judge's warrant if the person was actually a criminal, but you won't be able to do that if they're not a criminal, especially in blue states and stuff like that. So the thing is, though, is they can just use that for any reason. Just like back when weed was illegal, they used to just say, I smell weed whenever they wanted to search a place, whether they did or not. So let's take a look at this article real quick. Federal immigration officers were asserting sweeping power to forcibly enter people's homes without a judge's warrant, according to Internal Immigrations and Customs Service memo attained by the Associated Press, marking a sharp reversal for longstanding guidance meant to respect constitutional limits on government searches. That is such a word salad to say that they're like breaking the Constitution. The memo authorizes ICE officers to use force to enter residence based solely on a more narrow administrative warrant to arrest someone with a final order of removal, a move that advocates say collides with the Fourth Amendment protections and upends years of the way that they are dancing around this shit. The shift comes as the Trump administration dramatically expands immigration arrests worldwide, deploying thousands of officers under a mass deportation campaign that is already shaping enforcement tactics in cities such as Minneapolis. Let's see what else we got here. According to a whistleblower complaint, but its contents have also been used to train new ICE officers who are being deployed into cities and towns to implement the president's immigration crackdown. New ICE hires and those still in training are being told to follow the memo's guidance instead of written training materials that actually contradict the memo. Yeah, because it tells you, it's like straight up telling them to break the law. The change is almost certain to meet legal challenges and stiff criticism from advocacy groups and immigration-friendly state officials. The memo, signed by the acting director of ICE, Todd Lyons, and dated on May 12, 2025, says, although the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has not historically relied on administrative warrants alone to arrest aliens subject to final order of removal in their place of residence, this is such The DHS Office of the General Counsel has recently determined that the U.S. Constitution, the Immigration and Nationality Act, the immigration's regulations do not prohibit relying on administrative warrants for this purpose. Yeah, so they're going against the actual training manuals that the organization has, because it had they were originally telling people to at least stay within certain legal guidelines, you know what I mean? Um let's see what there was another memo leak that was like even crazier though, and Ken Klippenstein got into this one. This says leak doc, Homeland Security's domestic terror obsession. But this is pretty crazy, because this talks about how class-based or economic grievances, and how that can be an indicator for like terrorism. So despite Donald Trump's fixation on Greenland and the suggestion that military action is imminent, the 2026 Homeland Threat Assessment, a draft of which was leaked to me, focuses instead on domestic terrorism. So yeah, this is a different document than we were just talking about that was leaked from the Department of Homeland Security. So they're having leaks everywhere. The annual assessment, which has been prepared since 2020, purports to offer a holistic assessment to threats to the Western Hemisphere. These assessments have consistently focused on what you'd imagine: southern border security, the drug trade, immigration, and critical infrastructure protection in the United States. But this year's assessment, marked for official use only and not yet released to the public, identifies violent extremism on the part of American citizens as the priority and the greatest threat. So yeah, this is Homeland Security now. One phrase in particular stands out to me as new: potential terrorism based on class-based or economic grievances. The term has not appeared in any previous assessment. So let's see what this says here. Border and immigration security, population movements, and human smuggling. So I guess that's the stuff you would expect. Threats to economic security, economic manipulation. What's that? Non-ideological threats. Let's see the stuff that he pointed out here. The reference to the first appears in the executive summary in a section summarizing public safety threats per the assessment. Of threat actors with ideological motivations, domestic violence extremists in recent years have been the most active plotters. They are motivated to conduct attacks by a wide range of factors, including anti-government sentiment, racial and ethnic grievances, anti-Israel and anti-Semitic beliefs, and class-based or economic grievances. The threat from U.S.-based individuals inspired by forest terrorist organizations and also risen to its highest level in 5 years, fanned by the ongoing Israel-Hamas, all in caps, conflict, and a resurgence in the English language terrorist media. Jeez. So yeah, a lot going on there. It seems to have flipped the idea of domestic terrorism on its head. Like, because, it was properly widely understood and accurately understood that the biggest threat were like white supremacist militias, but now they have been hired to be the secret police, and now the people who are being labeled as domestic terrorists are the people who are trying to fight back against that. So it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. The term appears a second time in the full section on public safety threats. In recent years, domestic violent extremists have been the most active terrorist attackers and plotters, and we expect this will remain the case in 2026. They are motivated to conduct attacks by a wide range of factors, including anti-government sentiments, racial and ethnic grievances. Yeah, the same thing that they said before. In 2026, we expect terrorist attacks in the homeland. That's crazy. Let's see what else they say in here. They're talking about like the things that they're talking about in here, the New Year's Day and New Orleans, I'm pretty sure that that guy was like um a veteran that had issues or something like that, but wasn't it some kind of crazy situation, that New Orleans thing? I never dug that deep into it, but it seemed like kind of a sketchy situation. In recent years, domestic violent extremists have been the most active terrorist attack plotters. Since October, a Minnesota government official. Yeah, well, that dude was a right winger. U.S. law enforcement disrupted at least 9 additional plots against homeland targets during this period. A lot of them were those kind of setups, where they trap people. Like they create the plots themselves and they try to get people involved in them, like agent provocateur type shit. Let's see. Billionaire's bunker. Yeah, I've been reading about that, and Taylor Lorenz just put out like this really good video about how the billionaires don't want humanity to continue, and that's why Peter Thiel got all like worked up when he was asked that question, and how you know basically they're all transhumanists and stuff, and they want to like significantly reduce the population and live in their bunkers, um which sounds pretty crazy, but like there it was pretty well researched. Further bolstering the government's new obsession with domestic terrorists, the assessment also says that foreign terrorists are attempting to cross at the border the lowest rate in decades. And when it comes to migrants, the number of encounters with foreign terrorists at the border are said to be at a historic low. I was making jokes about this earlier online, saying like if people are all concerned about us vetting immigrants that come in, then because they might be terrorists or something, then why don't they vet every infant that is born into the country? You know what I mean? Like I was definitely being extremely sarcastic. Um just because it kind of points out the idea of like it's not the people that you're concerned about, because you got people like Elon Musk who says, "Yeah, I want everybody to have babies, but I don't want anybody to move here, and I don't want any of you to have babies." You know what I mean? Like, um, it's but this this is interesting because it's a very similar concept, because it's like you can't point to the threat without as much anymore, so you're trying to point to a threat within. Um, because in reality, a threat from within is just as likely to happen, in my opinion. Like, especially in these days, I think all the hysteria about the border is kind of, I don't know, irrelevant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not super relevant to our security, in my opinion, as a society. I think that the actual factors in our day-to-day lives are more of a factor in whether or not the society is going to succeed, and whether or not the people are going to be in danger or safe. Or right now, people are more in danger from the actual government than they are from any kind of outside threat. As the Department of Homeland Security sees it, 2026 is a year when when southern border immigration issue takes a back seat in the Trump administration's national security focus on North America and the Western Hemisphere, but not Greenland. The closest Trump administration's 2026 assessment comes to even mentioning the Arctic nation and other northern threats to the Western Hemisphere is one reference to China's stronghold of rare earth minerals, the very Stone Age war that Donald Trump has become so obsessed with. Raw earth. The assessment does mention the ongoing aggressive actions against alleged drug boats. Let's see. But what makes this still secret assessment really stand out is the certainty with which it states that the greatest area of considerable concern to us in the coming year is the threat of mass casualty attacks of targeted violence. From the World Cup to the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, Homeland Security is preparing for the threat. The threat is you. Yeah, I mean, that is sketch. Like, everybody has economic grievances. This is like textbook, like capitalism failing and fascism, like the turning the government's guns on the people that are starting to get restless about the economic situation. You know, so many of this shit, so much of this shit is just textbook fascism. Um, the biggest story on the right wing side of things and like on Twitter have been the church that a bunch of people yelled in. There have been a few arrests now. This one guy, the woke farmer, is a fucking badass. But he got arrested. This is him, I guess, out front of his house.
Fucking Christ.
I think he was one of the main organizers. The whistles, man.
Remember your oath.
I'm not muting it because he's kind of yelling in the background, and at some point it lowers a little bit. But I also didn't explain the whole thing. If you didn't know, there was a church service that was interrupted by a bunch of protesters because the pastor was apparently the leader of a ICE division, and this is one of the organizers getting arrested.
Shame on you. Shame on every one of you. Are you bringing him to federal building, I assume?
Yeah, can we know where you're taking him?
Americans, do not be intimidated by these goons. Remember the Constitution. Stand for humanity. Do not be intimidated.
Where are you guys taking him?
The whistles, man, drive me nuts. When I mean, I know they're great that they're doing it. I'm just like, when I'm trying to listen to these videos, it's like, bro, it's killing me. But this isn't a quick interview with this guy.
Well, our nation's falling. In my opinion, the republic has already fallen. Congress has failed. No one is coming to save us.
Yeah.
The midterms might not save us. I just want to stand up for humanity while we can. I'm seeing the exact parallels of 1939 Nazi Germany. I thought Venezuela was going to be Poland, but you know, I'm seeing this happening in my nation. I love this country. I love all people, no matter their race, religion. None of that shit matters to me. And I feel an obligation as having the privilege of having a VA disability check, so I can be out here. And now I have a social platform.
That's the funny thing, is all of the people like online who are talking shit about this guy, they're like, we need to investigate and find out who's paying him. It's probably Soros. And meanwhile, he's like, yeah, I'm a veteran and I get this check from the government for being a veteran.
So my voice is getting out there. So I just can't stop. I just feel that it's my patriotic duty. I swore an oath to the Constitution, and I plan to fucking uphold it. People are seeing what's happening, and they know it's the fucking same thing as Nazi Germany. They see that this city has been invaded by 4,000 fucking private troops, Donald Trump's private army, and so they know that if they're not out here, they're complicit. So if you're willing and
damn, bro,
able and physically able to get off your couch, it just takes you to be out here. You don't have to yell. You don't have to wave a flag. You can just stand here. You can wear a costume.
Fucking Christ.
Okay, yeah. So then they show the arrest at the end of this. But yeah, and then there was a couple of other arrests, and the government is just wiling out online. They arrested this woman who apparently took part in the protest, and they like used AI to make it look like she was crying when they posted the thing, which is batshit insane. Like the whole thing where people say the cruelty is the point, that really seems to be the situation. And it's like there are people out there who literally take joy in seeing this, and there are people in the administration who take joy in posting this and just in other people's suffering. It is so batshit insane that we have come here as a society, you know, like, you know, I think there were like one or two other arrests as well. And then there was another situation where you've probably seen this picture everywhere, and there was a bunch of like drama and debate about it. and this guy like carried out of his house, wasn't even able to put clothes on, and they tried to say that he was a like a sex offender, uh, but they were the way that they posted it. I think they deleted the post now. I couldn't find it, but they said um we were searching for those kind of offenders, and he got caught up in, he fit the description of one of them. Basically, he was the same race as one of them, but they weren't living in his house. They have never lived with him, and not only that, they were already in prison. Um, so they could have just went to the prison and got him, and they ended up handing him over. The cops ended up handing these guys over eventually. And when they found out that they were looking for him, I'm not exactly sure of the situation. There's an interview with one of the corrections people in charge of the corrections that we'll listen to in a minute. But yeah, so they were searching for these two guys. Instead, they carried some old guy out and then ended up humiliating him online for no reason, associating him with these guys. And yeah, it's completely twisted how much they lie about everything. So this was the worst of the worst photos that they put out, and they said that the cops just let them out of jail. And this is the narrative that has been put around repeatedly, that they're just letting them out of jail in these cities, and that is not happening. It's just this insane batshit theory that Trump just spits out. And this prison today had to do a press conference where they showed video of them releasing the subject into the custody of ICE. So not like releasing him but they gave him to ICE and they handed him over. And that was what they meant by release. So they were intentionally trying to mislead people and create propaganda with that. So it's pretty insane. Let's take a look at several videos. Show Thao, a U.S. citizen, let out of his home in the freezing weather. In a statement explaining Thao's detention, ICE officials say that they were looking for two undocumented Laotian men with criminal records. So yeah, this guy was a citizen and he didn't have a criminal record. Who they say lived with Thao. They also say Thao matched the description of those men. Family members said they had no knowledge of either of that, and that Thao lived with his son, daughter-in-law, and his grandson. So where are these men? Mal, who was a felony convictions dating back to 1992, has been incarcerated at Minnesota Corrections Facility since 2024. His expected release date is 2027. DHS officials saw Vang. Minnesota court records show he had some charges. So yeah, they completely lied about everything to do with this situation. Let's take a look at that. This is an interview with the head of the prison.
We have important new information this morning on the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. A memo obtained by CBS News shows that ICE agents have been told that they can force their way into suspects' homes without a judge's search warrant. Meanwhile, there's a new dispute between ICE and local officials in Minnesota that has officials calling ICE flat wrong. Nicole Skenga is in St. Paul covering this for us. Nicole, good morning. What's going on here?
Good morning, Nate. ICE says it has taken hundreds of dangerous migrants off the streets here in this region. It also accuses state and local law enforcement officials of interfering with immigration enforcement, even letting some suspects go free. Now, CBS News has reviewed state records that suggest some of—
And this has been a narrative all throughout, his whole campaign, that they're just letting people out of jail. They're, because of the fact that they're immigrants. They're saying, oh yeah, you killed somebody, you robbed a store, we would keep you in jail, but since you're an immigrant, we can't do anything about it since you don't have any papers. So we're just going to let you go. And that's what he's been telling people at his rallies for years. And for some reason, people have been believing that. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. But these people have been in jail all the time, and they're getting caught up in these lies now because the cops in many of these places aren't playing along because they're getting pulled out of their cars too.
Those alleged criminals were already in prison or under state law enforcement supervision. And Minnesota's top corrections official, his name is Paul Schnell, we spoke with him yesterday, seemed genuinely astonished by the Trump administration's claim that the state is releasing criminals. Does it feel like the Department of Homeland Security is lying when it says that state authorities are not cooperating?
It is fundamentally false. We cooperate with ICE and ICE detainers. We have, as a matter of policy, done that for a long, long time.
Like that guy, I don't think that guy is letting, like, willy-nilly letting immigrants out on the street. Like, he's, you know what I mean? Like,
as ICE raids have unfolded across the Twin Cities, the Trump administration has accused state leaders of protecting the worst of the worst.
The best solution is to turn them over to us in a safe, controlled setting like a jail or prison.
But Minnesota Corrections Commissioner Paul Schnell says that's already common practice.
As they approach their release date several weeks before, our staff coordinates directly with the local ICE office. Staff do this on a routine basis. They make arrangements for the transfer of custody of that individual.
For months, the Department of Homeland Security has released lists of mugshots. Alleged criminals, it says, were seemingly tracked down and arrested by ICE. But Schnell told us that's not completely true.
These are people that they're in our system or have been in our system, but they were released.
These worst of the worst criminals weren't swept up by ICE on city streets.
No, they were released to ICE.
In one example, Schnell said his department
this is insane. I mean, I'm not surprised, and I knew that it was bullshit, but to have the jail come out and be like, yeah, they're lying about all of these individuals.
To immigration officials on January 12th. The next day, both appeared in a DHS press release highlighting people who'd been arrested in ICE operations. That same release also claimed state leaders, quote, will not let us into their jails.
Coordinated that transfer of custody, and the next day they showed up on a DHS list of among
the
these
worst
people,
of the worst list.
Among the worst of the worst. And yet, exactly what should have happened, happened.
You say you need it to stop.
We need them to stop telling stories that are simply untrue. That we will and do coordinate on the transfer of custody of people who are subject to ICE detainers. And we'll continue to do that, period.
So yeah, during this press conference that this guy gave earlier this morning, he basically explained that situation that he did in there. But he showed this video.
Some weeks before the individuals reached the end of their prison term, we contacted ICE and let them know that, and we coordinated pickup arrangements with them. So on January 12th, an ICE officer arrived at our prison, and we allowed them into the Sally Port.
I have never seen like departments of the government publicly presenting evidence against each other like this before. This is some wild shit.
Where they took custody of both individuals. Dedicated DOC staff helped carry out these individuals, carry their property out for the agent. We'd like to play just a few seconds of video to show that transfer of custody taking place on January 12th. We also will show a screenshot here of the DHS press release. Now, as we are seeing numerous other cases, as we are seeing in numerous other instances, both of these individuals, Mr. Yang and Mr. Fornow, ended up on DHS's January 13th press release with them insinuating that they were individuals released into the community, specifically saying that they were, and I quote, criminal illegal aliens arrested yesterday during Operation Metro Surge. These people
That's insane.
were transferred, their custody was transferred from the DOC directly to them. They were not picked up in the community as is implied.
Yeah, because the other thing about this is by saying that these people are being unleashed on the streets, you are creating this false pretense for you to send your goons in there because you're saying that the streets are so dangerous.
Admit it feels a little absurd even showing a video like this to all of you, but truth matters. Facts matter. And if we're going to move forward and accomplish our shared mission of public safety, we will need to acknowledge what is real and what is not.
Exactly. These are very by the book people here. Like I don't see him. He's not Antifa.
Today, ICE official Marcos Charles, during a press conference briefing, said the governor should direct county jails to honor ICE detainment. The statement that the governor controls the actions of county jails is patently false.
I wanted to show how he had to show the video to be like, we're not lying, you know? And then there was another lie today that they got caught up on with this kid that they basically used for bait to get his parents out. And then they turned around when this went viral and people were upset about it. They said that, you know, they got pulled over and the father fled. But that isn't actually what happened. And there was now people coming forward. Let's see this one. This was a press conference, and this was, I guess, the teacher. Let's see.
That
You offered to take him, and you saw ICE agents drive away.
Yes.
The 5-year-old boy.
Yes. And then I held another community member in their front yard sobbing.
Liam's
Did they
mother
say
was
anything to
inside
you?
the house.
Did they, like, when you asked them why they were doing that, did they say anything, talk to you?
So, you know, I don't remember if they did say anything back to me. There was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of people, you know, making a commotion. And so all I can speak to is the part that specifically that I heard and my response
Sorry,
to
to
that.
clarify, Liam's mother was inside the house.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay,
Did
and the
she
question-
say she wanted her child? Was she clearly, obviously saying, just leave him with me?
Again, I was not at that door when that was, you know, as they were putting him in the vehicle and leaving.
Question for Mark. DHS officials have said that the father abandoned this child. How does that differ from what your understanding is? You said that they were being held at Dilley. What is your understanding of the conditions in which they're being held? Do you know if Adrian Conejo Arias has any sort of criminal record to speak of? I understand you were saying he was in the asylum process.
Sure, I'll take those in reverse order. To my knowledge, I looked through the Minnesota criminal database and found nothing. So no, there's no crimes here that the family has ever done.
Yeah, it is really getting wild out here with the shit they be pulling. Thank you for joining the channel. Thanks for checking it out. I appreciate that. I was tipped off about this. Remember last week I was talking about the issue with the Native American reservations being targeted by ICE and them going after homeless people there because the homeless people there didn't have identification, and they were like literally going like raiding a homeless shelter essentially in a Native American reservation. There's one man still missing, I believe, one Native man still missing, dozens reported being pulled over, detained. Now somebody had pointed out online that Kristi Noem, the head of Department of Homeland Security, has a history of kind of using the indigenous people as scapegoats essentially in her native North Dakota or South Dakota. I'm not sure which Dakota she's from. I guess we'll find out in a minute. But yeah, it's pretty interesting story from what I've skimmed. So let's dig a little bit deeper into it. While sifting through his work emails one February afternoon, Clyde Estes saw a message that dismayed him. I started reading it and was just shocked. Recalled Estes, chairman of the Lower Brule Sioux tribe. It's something you don't expect to see. It relayed what Kristi Noem said at the state legislature a few days prior. In her address at the state capitol, the second-term South Dakota governor blasted U.S. immigration policy, saying that invasion is coming over the southern border. In the same speech, Noem pronounced, "Make no mistake, the cartels have a presence on several South Dakota's tribal reservations." So she was accusing the tribes in South Dakota of harboring cartel members. Noem alleged that tribal leaders in South Dakota were profiting off drug cartel activity. These remarks and her controversial comments about Native children have been met with staunch condemnation from Indigenous leaders and have dredged up bitter history between the tribes in the state. As a result, all 9 of South Dakota's federally recognized tribes, which cover more than 12% of the state, have now banned Noem from their reservations. From what I saw in my search, a few of them may have reversed this since she has come into power, maybe as a kind of appeasement type strategy. I did see a couple of articles like that. This was only like a year ago, though. After initially deciding against banning Noem in April, the tribal leaders of Lower Brule Sioux voted in May to go ahead. There were a couple of fellow tribal council members who wanted an apology first, so we were holding out hope and got no reply from her at all, said Estes. If the governor attempts to enter the reservation, Estes said that tribal law enforcement would notify county sheriffs and ask her to voluntarily leave the reservation. She would be charged with trespassing, said Estes, calling the situation very unfortunate. We're going to defend our people. And this just gets into her, her killing the dog and everything. She's clearly trying to raise her profile. The Sioux tribe of the first tribe to ban Noem. But yeah, so she got banned from all these reservations for trying to suggest that they were harboring cartel members. See if there's anything else in there. I thought that was relatively important because, maybe they wandered on there and didn't know where they were going, but maybe they were ordered to go there, I mean, I don't know how much she is controlling it, but because it does seem kind of chaotic. But at the same time, there could be a pattern of targeting Native people. Let's see. We got a bunch of other. Oh, this one was crazy too. Apparently, they're roughing people up and then leaving them in the woods. And many of them require medical attention at this point. So somebody says they're beating the shit out of detainees and releasing them into Fort Snelling Park in the middle of the night. I need to remind you that this area includes the island of Bidoti, which was the birthing island for indigenous people hundreds of miles all around here. Wow. Women would travel alone by canoe for days, paddling up the river to get to Bidoti, where they would give birth. It is Sacred Island, the island of creation. Wow. Lincoln's army used the sacred island of Bidoti as a concentration camp in his wars against the Dakota people, and here we are again. Wow. I really hope there's no whistles in the back of this, but let's say
that so you know how safe harbor or safe haven is here to get people who are being picked up like that person.
Yes.
So the people that are injured really badly, or maybe other people too, we don't know how many people, are being taken out into the woods around the Whipple and released in the middle of the night, sometimes with no clothes, always with no phone, if they're brown, with no ID. And
what? Dude, this is literally the Patriot Front, and all them fucking Nazi militia groups are in this shit now, and they are acting out their sickest fantasies with the full protection of the government.
It's a death sentence. One of the people had a cracked skull that's been treated. So they're taking the people that they don't want us to know about and they're dropping them in the woods, which I've heard is something that they've been doing with Native Americans for a long time, and we're just continuing that tradition. But that is sickening me right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That is information that we confirm here at Status Quo. Some of these harrowing stories, please. If you, yeah, we can talk. Elena, thank you for talking. Yeah, for talking to us out here, and thank you for being a source. We appreciate it.
From medical professionals.
And there continues to be cops who are getting caught up. That's why a lot of these police departments are starting to get pissed. See if there's an article attached to this. I don't see one. But yeah, that's been happening a lot. Let's see. I got another one. Now I gotta pull up the screen again. Let's see. Sorry about that. So this is the other thing. They are continuing to just smash out people's windows and leave their cars in the middle of the street. This guy, mainstream news reporter, just walked up on this.
So come and check this out. As you can see right here, the window of this car has been smashed in, and what people are saying. Did anybody see it? Did you see it?
Yeah, man, it's a lot of stuff that's been happening, man. I got tear gas in my face and everything.
Out here?
Yeah.
So what happened? Who was in this car?
It was another lady that would just try to get to the light, and then they just, cause she was stopped right there, she couldn't get through, and they just pulled her out the car, snatched her, they put her on the ground, they put her on handcuff, and they took her.
Where is she now?
They took her, they put her behind the car.
They took her.
Yeah.
And what were the agents look? What did they look like? What kind of car were they in?
They in a regular civilian car with different plates that they had the same plate like that, Florida plate. So it was just like nonsense. Like
you said they deployed tear gas. You said there's video of it.
Yeah, I have a video of it. But I sent it. I didn't save it, so I don't have it right now. But I sent it. I can show you.
So
crazy, man. I think there was another. Was there one attached to that, or a continuation? This guy is out in the front lines. The whatever his title is, the head of. He throws it like in his own line of wind. But he's always up in the front lines of everything.
Prosecutors accused her of using her car to box in the Border Patrol agent.
It's another one of these situations.
Martinez's lawyer, Chris Parenti, obtained another surveillance video. In it, Martinez can be seen driving along the left side of the Border Patrol SUV. When Agent Exum stopped and fired at Martinez, the video shows her car was not blocking his, contradicting the Department of Homeland Security's account of the incident. So DHS
Yeah, I heard that green smoke is like worse than the regular tear gas.
released a statement saying that their agents were boxed in by 10 cars. They couldn't move. What does the video that you obtained from our surveillance camera show?
There was nobody in front of this agent. If he simply wanted to move forward on the street in the direction he was going, he could have continued on. It shows there's nobody to the left of his vehicle.
Why don't you play the video as you've got it set up and kind of walk me through what we see?
Okay. So this construction barrier that you see here, that is where eventually you're going to see the hood of the
This is another situation where they lied and ended up like shooting
agent's
somebody.
car stop. You see,
Pretty sure.
you see the front. That is the front of the agent's car. The quote ramming has just happened. And right now the agent is opening his driver's side door. He's jumping out, and within 2 seconds, according to a stopwatch, he's shooting his gun 5 times. So now you'll see Miramar's car sort of come at a bend. Like, so she's in the far left lane. She goes towards the curb away from the agents and then comes back. There's
You've
nobody
seen no
else.
evidence of 10 people, a caravan anywhere.
I don't see 10 people, and I certainly don't see anybody in the lane in front of him. Why can he not go forward?
Court proceedings also uncovered text messages from Agent Exum. In one exchange with fellow agents, he appeared to brag about the shooting, writing, quote, "I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys." Body camera footage discussed in court also revealed that an agent in Exum's car, while holding a weapon, said, "Do something, bitch." Seconds later, Agent Exum opened fire. What do you think he meant by that?
I feel like he wanted me to do something. Like he was just like trigger happy. He was just like, yeah, like do something. Like, yeah, I want you to do something. Provoke us.
In a statement, Department of Homeland
like these are hateful, vicious people in this organization.
Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said, quote, "On October 4th, Border Patrol law enforcement officers were ambushed by domestic terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles."
And look at this. Another judge describes how ICE intentionally brake checks ICE observers trying to cause accidents. If the observers can't stop in time, it can then label them as domestic terrorists who weaponize their vehicles, which is, of course, a justification for killing them. And non-parties the ICE vehicles for varying distance. So this could just be, remember, there were many cases where they were just paranoid about people, following them. So if you took more than 2 turns behind them, they got freaked out and got out and start messing with you. So, or they did something like this where they brake check you. Let's see.
I'm listening.
We were just driving around. We did see you guys. We
Yeah.
were not honking. We were not whistling.
Okay.
We were just trying to figure out if it was you guys.
Yeah.
And you guys stopped in the middle of a road going 35 miles per hour and tried to back up and hit our car.
Okay, so
I'm just trying to figure out why that is happening and why you're putting people at risk like that.
So
Why
here's
you're
the thing:
trying
they
to...
weren't trying to hit your car; they were trying to stop you. All right, so we probably need to get out of here.
Okay, can I just?
So yeah, he was basically admitting that shit. That is like classic move. And now the thing is like a lot of these dudes, they hate brown people and they hate women and they want to hurt people. This guy's
go back. Fucking assholes. Go. Lock your doors. Oh, go back.
Brooke, there has been a shooting involving a federal agent. Eyewitness News reporter
today?
David Gonzalez just
Yesterday.
arrived at the scene. Authorities are on scene, and David is.
Another
so he
shooting.
can tell us what's going on. David?
Speed it up.
Hey, good morning, Philip. Yeah, the story is developing as we speak. I'm live here off 126th Street and Mona Boulevard in Compton. And right now, those are unconfirmed reports of a shooting that took place here in this neighborhood. But here off into the distance, you could see.
No, they are seriously methed out of their gills because so many of these ICE agents have gotten in trouble for other shit. I'm sure many of you saw the guy that was drunk driving with his kids. And then not too long after that, there was a guy who, like, he tried to follow a woman into a restroom with a gun or something like that, and then he got caught and chased out of a restaurant, and then he got arrested, and then when he got out of jail, he went home and overdosed. Like,
Big scene right now involving federal agents and the sheriff's office, LA County Sheriff's Office is on the scene right now, talking to witnesses here on the scene right now. We have reports that agents were chasing a car here on the scene. I don't know if Brian, the photographer, could pan over to the car. This a gray BMW that has front end damage. We're hearing from witnesses that this car was being chased by possible federal agents. It crashed, and then the people in the car tried to run away, and that's when something happened here on the scene. We hear that possibly those people happened to detained. But right now I'm being joined by Andrew. Andrew is lives in the area. And Andrew, you said you were running by, you were exercising this morning. What did you see this morning?
I might have just seen a vehicle, two sheriff cars that came down southbound from Mona Park, and then eventually I just seen the lights flicker on. So I thought they had pulled over the vehicle, but then as I come down, that's when I had seen this whole commotion, and then I seen the vehicle parked. So I was just like, does that have to be ICE? Because you know, a lot of us have immigrant parents, so we're just trying to be aware of our surroundings and stuff like that. So I was just trying to make sure that if it was to confirm it was ICE, and yes, it was. So I was just trying to make sure, you know, I put it on social media just to keep whereabouts for families and stuff like that. But yeah, apparently.
So you see ICE agents here. We see they're clearly, some of them are clearly marked with Border Patrol on their chest. They're wearing masks. What are you hearing as to what took place? Have you heard anything specific as to what took place involving this car?
The only thing was that they were involved in not in a high-speed chase, but that they were chasing the vehicle, and then they had shots fired. I don't know if it was coming from the person from the vehicle or if it was ICE agents shooting at the vehicle, but you know, all the speculations of ICE agents shooting people and stuff like that. So, you know.
And seeing this in your neighborhood, obviously seeing federal agents, you mentioned this is a big immigrant population in this neighborhood. What goes through your mind?
It's just scary, you know. We have a school that's just not that few hundred yards away, you know. So it's like you got kids that are here, kids that are fearful.
Let me check. I'm checking to see what actually happened because see the most recent one. Federal agent opens fire during immigration operation in Willbrook. Man taken into custody. Tense scene unfolded in Willbrook.
We have just learned the name of it.
Shortly after 7 a.m., U.S. Border Patrol. Let's see if we
Around
maybe.
4 o'clock this morning, the firefighter Andrew Jimenez walked into a police station.
Oh no, that's the wrong story. In a statement provided by ABC 10, the Department of Homeland Security said the target operation began in Compton to arrest a violent criminal, illegal alien. They keep on saying it like that. It's like, you know, I understand they're going for their propaganda, but you can't have a word salad like that. You need like snappy propaganda. Who is involved in human smuggling operation has 2 prior arrests for inflicted corporal injury on a spouse or cohabitant. So, in a dangerous attempt to evade arrest, this criminal illegal alien weaponized the vehicle and rammed law enforcement. They keep on saying that. They are ramming the people. Fearing for his life and his safety, an agent fired defensive shots. Of course, the criminal illegal alien, you cannot just keep on using 4 words to describe a person. Was not hit and attempted to flee on foot. He was successfully apprehended by... Okay, so he wasn't hit. That's why it didn't make big news. But they shot at him. They're just out there shooting at people like this. And I got one more from this end of things. Is this it? Yeah. So this was a female, a woman lawyer. And this is once again like why like they hate women. Like he physically pushed this woman. Is insane for just standing next to him and walking.
Active applications. They're here legally.
Don't put your phone in my face.
Don't push me.
Don't put your phone in my face.
Why would you push somebody?
Stay arm's length away from me.
I'm right here. I was
Stay an arm's length away from me.
I was.
Next time I'll take you into custody.
I'm right here.
I don't know who you play with in the past, but I'll take you in.
I'm an attorney.
I don't
an
care.
Immigration attorney.
I don't care.
And I'm a
if
US
you violate
citizen.
the law, guess what,
I'm
immigration
standing
attorney?
right here.
You'll be standing in court too.
I'm standing right
Yeah.
here.
18 U.S.C. 111.
So you're gonna come after me? You're gonna shoot me? These guys have active asylum applications. There's nothing wrong with them. Why are you trying to pick them up?
You don't know what they have.
So why are you trying to pick them up? You have no idea. It's not legal.
It's none of your business.
It is my business. I'm their attorney. It's exactly my business. Get the fuck out of this apartment. Get out of here. Just leave. These guys are here legally. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're funny. What are you trying to do? I'm arm's length.
Yeah, good. You learned your lesson.
So get out
You're
of here.
a wise attorney.
Get the fuck out. Go. Can't believe you're not afraid to show your face. Get out of here. You must not be from around here. You're touching your pepper spray? You gonna pepper spray me?
You were saying you're their attorney?
Do you have a warrant?
So under their conditions.
No,
of
do you have a
release,
warrant?
do not
I'm pretty sure they end up leaving.
We're disrespectful.
You show me a warrant, fuck out.
release. There are all alternatives to
Get
detention,
out.
right? Alternative
No.
to detention?
Get out.
But the way that guy just like it was so casual for him to just like hit her like push her like that is just like, yeah, you know, guy's got problems. One more thing I had tonight was one more interview. Remember that woman that we saw an interview with last night, the one that was ripped from her car that was on her way to her doctor's appointment? That CNN interview kind of sucked because it was just like 2 minutes and they couldn't she couldn't really express what she wanted to. And this I think it's a more local station gave her an opportunity to kind of speak at length about what she experienced, and I think it was uh it was pretty revealing. One of the most disturbing things, I think, is how she described the way that they talked about people in there. They referred to the people as bodies. Like, we just picked up 10 bodies, or you have all these bodies over here, or we need to get these bodies over there. And that is alarming.
To tell your story to the folks that live around here.
Sure.
We'll just start with your first and last name.
Yeah, my first and last name are Alia Rahman.
So, 8 days ago, you were going where?
Yes, I was on my way to a regular appointment at the Traumatic Brain Injury Center. Awesome place we have here, provided by Hennepin County. I actually just came from there right before I came to see you here. And that parking lot is on a straight line from my house down Park Avenue. Yes.
And so you're driving, and then what happens?
Yeah. I'm driving, and the first thing I actually just see is traffic is stopping, right? And if you've ever been in that situation where you pull onto a block and you're like, oh man, there's traffic up here, and I've already gone past the street, like behind, you can't go anywhere. So I stopped with a couple cars in front of me. And I think most of us sitting there at that time were just trying to understand what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good few minutes before I could even move my car up once. And then started to see people running across the two side streets.
Mm-hmm.
I was primarily concerned with missing the 15-minute late deadline on my appointment, because then I would have to reschedule. And I started to text my my healthcare provider when I heard the whistles. And folks were running between the cars. Initially, community members. That's when I saw someone run next to me, stop and blow a whistle. And then I kind of realized, I see what's happening. Those cars blocking up there are large SUVs. Those must be ICE vehicles. This is what I'm rolling up on here. And so, it's just very chaotic, very loud, multiple people directing traffic, multiple people not directing anything and just kind of walking around. So yeah, I was mostly like trying to figure out, okay, there's cars going, they're letting some cars go forward, right? That would be dope, because that's where I need to go to the doctor. I think if you're from here, like Park is a main north-south thoroughfare, right? And so it's better if you stay on that.
Yeah, and it's a one-way, so you only got one way to go.
Yeah, it's not super icy, right? So so I was waiting for that when I got the first set of move, I will break your effing, they didn't say effing, but I'm saying it here. Move, I will break your effing window. And then from that point on, back and forth commands to stop, to move, people pulling on my door, saying they would break my window, and me trying to understand what was really happening there, me trying to wait to actually pull into an intersection because there wasn't any.
She said that she lowered her driver's side window just so they wouldn't break it, and then they broke her other windows anyway.
Anywhere to go, right? When I first pulled up to it, the side streets were fully blocked. And there are also people running around everywhere, right? I have been taught as a human and as a disabled person, like if things are overwhelming and confusing, just pause for a second, right? I think you all see how that wasn't working for the ICE officers, even after I had actually pulled out of the way of the traffic behind me. So I think we've seen the rest.
You needed to go to that doctor's appointment. That was important for you to get to.
Yes, I have been getting treatment for a brain injury for over a year. And I would like to get back to work someday if I can. So they helped me on that road.
How did you get the injury, if you mind my asking?
Well, I would like to keep that personal health information.
Totally.
Sure.
Sure. And so you're going to these appointments to get better?
Yes.
But you have some physical limitations?
Yes. So the primary things that happened to me with my brain injury were I have a bit of halted speech, as you can hear. It comes from word finding difficulties. And on a good day, it's not such a problem. And on a stressful day, it is. I have some balance challenges, which is why
I don't think the borders were ever open. They were always extremely strict, and it was always very hard for people to get documented. I mean, really, the solution is to just document people, but they don't want to do that because they want to have undocumented people so they can pay them less money, and that they can, you know, they want a permanent underclass.
walk with a cane. My legs work. My brain is not the greatest when I have to walk a distance. I can stand on my own, or I can stand by touching my car door, which you've also seen me do in a video trying not to fall. The cane helps me if I have balance issues while I am walking. The primary thing I deal with, though, is vision challenges close up. So it's not an issue driving.
Were you by yourself in that car?
Yes, I was.
And so you're getting yelled at from the left, from the right, trying to figure out what's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I am. I think any person would probably have that challenge, especially seeing what we saw when Renee Good was shot. That following the command to drive away while people are that close to you, and by people I mean the ICE officers who have tried to open your door already, which they were trying to do that, right? To me, that implies you're trying to get in. Or frankly, the sentence, "I will break your effing window." You know, I'm an autistic person who likes to, not all autistic people brains are like this, but for me, I like to draw threads and connections, and I have yet to find the connection between clearing a traffic jam and saying, "I will break your effing window." It is a threat of violence. It's not an instruction. And my understanding is that no matter what I was doing, an ICE officer shouldn't be meting out punishment.
Mm-hmm.
But it also indicates they want to be in my car, right? So all of these things are quite confusing, I think, for any person. But I also have, my autism manifests with having an auditory sorting challenge, which is quite common, not universal, but common. And what it means is that if I'm at a party, the voices on the other side of the room and a voice of someone as close to me as you, who's probably talking to me, dial in at the same priority.
Oh.
So I look for physical cues, context, conversational threads, and mouths. You can probably see me in that video trying to look at which person's mouth is talking to me, but of course that's not possible because ICE officers cover their face entirely. So you cannot use lips to help you understand who is talking to you. And things sound at a similar volume. At one point, as I had pulled forward, I did try to check my blind spot, and then at that moment heard "get back, go the other way." And I didn't have a way to know who that instruction was for, so yeah, I did the cautious thing and tried to get these folks to calm down and tell me what they actually wanted.
But it didn't calm down. They did break your window, correct?
That is correct. While they were telling me to move, they also smashed the window. They also smashed the window, yes. The first time they had told me that, I rolled down my driver's side window so such an action wouldn't be necessary. I didn't understand it, but you know, whatever, right? So I put my window down, and then I heard loud banging on all of my car windows, but the glass on the passenger side suddenly smashed across my lap. And from that moment on, I don't remember my feet hitting the ground to walk. I saw at one point a very large knife in front of me, which I now see in the videos was for cutting my seatbelt off. I'm curious why they didn't press the little button since they were in my car, but they did not. And at no point
Yeah,
was
like they need to cut your seatbelt and smash your window, even if you're not resisting in the slightest. She was not even doing anything. She was just trying to understand what was happening.
I told I was under arrest, explained what I was obstructing, or charged.
When you watch the video of what happened to you, what do you see and what do you feel?
I'll be honest, Jana, what happened to me in that video was, of course, very horrific and shouldn't have happened, but it is nothing compared to the horror show I saw inside that detention center. So when I see the video of me, that's who I think about. I'm very privileged. I got to maybe not go back to my house, but back to my neighborhood. I'm not being deported. I'm alive. When I see that video, I think about George Floyd. I am a US citizen, but that doesn't mean I deserve more humane treatment than anyone else. That's what I think of when I see that video. I hear the sound of the word bodies. And one moment, that word is in my head right now.
Oh, sorry. I was saying this part coming up with the bodies, it just shows that we're in a really, really dark place, and it's super disturbing. Thanks for letting me know.
Throughout the whole experience of being put in the SUV, processed, detained until I went unconscious, the resounding memory I have of my sound patterns in my head is the word bodies, because that is the word that is exclusively used in my experience to refer to us by the ICE agents. As soon as I entered the SUV, I noticed the driver in the front could not stop laughing. I told him I thought that was disrespectful at a time like this, and he would not stop and radioed in, "We're bringing in a body." After what had just happened to me, frankly, because I was on the ground, face down, handcuffed behind my back, and then carried by my arms through the street in a way that now is impacting my ability to raise my arms up. And when you hear a thing like "we're bringing in a body," and you've had an experience like that, for a split second, you wonder if you've died. And then you wonder if you're going to die. And they kept using this. On the outdoor loading dock, they were processing all of us, regardless of citizenship, gender, anything. And of course, this is falling disproportionately on immigrants.
Exactly. This is a dehumanization tactic, 100%. This is, and I would not be surprised if this wasn't something that was not like an official policy, but like intentional. Like they intentionally do as much as they can to dehumanize the people that they're dealing with, so they don't have to feel any kind of human empathy, which most of them seem pretty shielded from to begin with.
But I still want to say, we were all in there, and people were yelling, ICE officers yelling, "Where do I put these folks?" Actually, I don't think I ever heard the word folks. ICE officers yelling, "Where do I put them? They're bringing in bodies 7 and 8 at a time. Is there a separate area for USCs out here?" Which there is not. When they were trying to find an interrogation room for me later, it never happened because they kept looking and people would say, "There's already a body in that one." I know that's not the question you asked me, but it's very hard for me to think of anything without hearing that word and the laughter of the ICE agents.
This is your opportunity to tell your story. You tell it how you want.
When you beg for medical care for over an hour, and your cellmate is putting themselves in danger to bang on the door to try to get you emergency medical care long after you've asked for it, and you know these people call you all bodies, you have no reason to believe you're going to live through that. And I don't believe I deserve better treatment than someone who's not a US citizen. However, the people who held me do think that. And if they did that to me, someone who's pretty light-skinned, someone who is a US citizen, someone who has no warrant out for their arrest.
You seem still very traumatized. Would you say you are?
Yes, I think it's impossible not to be after a thing like that. I also kind of talk like this anyway. I am autistic. But I must say the thing that feels the heaviest to me is that my experience is such a common one, except for the part where I got out.
Why did they let you out?
I was unconscious. That is why.
Where did they take you?
I opened my eyes at Hennepin County Medical Center's emergency room and was treated like a human being for the first time since 9:50 a.m. that day by that staff. I'm very grateful to them. My discharge paperwork from the ER says I was treated for assault.
When you were going to the doctor's appointment that day and you started to realize there was an ICE operation happening.
Yes.
You did so knowing that just days prior, a woman in the exact same area was killed.
Yes.
Just 2 streets away.
Yes.
So is there fear going through you at any moment when you're trying to get out of there?
Yes, but it wasn't for myself at that time. Once they had their hands on me, absolutely.
I just have to ask you this last question. It's been 8 days, which boggles my mind because it feels like longer. But in those 8 days, I've seen a pattern.
Yes.
In the last 3, once you start telling your story, this campaign to discredit you.
Oh, yeah.
Saying you're an activist, you put yourself there for a reason.
They do this with everybody that's hit.
Then
yes,
it's not what it seems.
I mean, I think if people are still asking that question, perhaps they can't be helped. But I also think for the small number of people out there for whom this is.
This interviewer she asked some definitely some dumb questions, but at least they're letting her talk, because the other last night that in CNN, they were cutting her off in like when she was really trying to drop some knowledge.
Feeling distracting. I believe that focusing on my driving and what I was doing there is a massive distraction to what's really happening. And, you know, and yes, my LinkedIn is public. My job listings are on LinkedIn publicly for a reason. 2018 and before, I think a little under a decade, I did work for nonpartisan nonprofits, and I'm actually very proud of my values. I'm very proud of my values, which are that human beings deserve equal treatment under the law, and that citizenship is not a reason to treat someone more humanly than someone else. This harassment has been incredible over the last week. My family has had to deal with it. And not a one of us is intimidated by you folks. You are not going to make me back up from my values. The last 3 places I worked were private sector software companies doing nothing related to social justice.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever discussed it on the stream before, but I'm autistic, definitely. Like I've been seeing a therapist that specifically deals with autistic people for years.
Unless you believe writing safer email is a social justice project, but those are not.
But
yeah.
But to your point, I guess what I see happen to you 8 days ago has absolutely no correlation to whatever job you had 10 years ago.
Yeah,
like they're separate
yes,
things.
I think that is an important point, right? Because when I see people writing hit pieces and talking about how I'm an activist, first of all, I support protesters. They're a part of a functioning democracy. Dr. King's birthday was just Monday. And also, I think the question is not actually about fact. I think they're questioning my character and my integrity. And I'm not really very scared of that because the facts are pretty clear. Various investigative reporting outlets have asked my attorneys about my birth certificate, about my medical records, and none of them have, encountered things that are contrary to what I'm saying. I was on my way to the doctor.
So
reckoning.
one of the things that she had said in the other interview is that they were kind of taunting the fact that she was disabled. And I was kind of saying that there's definitely a eugenicist element to what is happening here. And I think that this executive order plays very much into that. So this Incarceration Nation account says, Trump's new exec order ties homelessness to crime and drug use, allows for forced institutionalization of unhoused as mentally ill, and withdraws funding from states that do not have anti-camping and loitering laws. Will ICE get orders to round up unhoused next? You know that that's what's going to happen. Let's take a look at this. Ending crime and disorder on American streets. So, look, they're trying to, even on the website, what is this? Why can't I? Can I turn off dark mode and get rid of this? What? Come on now. They're like, we won't let you read this article until you show us your email. These bastards. I cannot believe it. All right. Let's see if I can find a news article about it, because I don't want to give them my email. I don't want to be getting Trump spam. Order on American streets, executive order. Okay. Let's see what we got. Is this must have been this might have been an old one. Was it old? Let's see. Yeah, okay. So this was July 24th. And I think I might have been able to get around it. So this was a couple months ago, but I still think it plays into this thing. And I still see tent cities around for sure. And one of the things that I was thinking is that they would pay more money on a program to arrest homeless people and build institutions to put them in than they would to buy them homes. They would spend double the amount of money, I'm sure, on building institutions than they would to just build homes to put the people in. And, and that's a eugenicist thing, because they think that there's a problem with a gene pool, not the environmental factors that, these people run into that leaves them homeless. Most people in the US are just a few bad things, like a medical emergency, a car accident, a few of those things away from homelessness, poverty, either or. It's, and with this whole ICE element, I wouldn't be suspected. I wouldn't be surprised if that, if that went down like that. But yeah, it's overwhelming for sure. Just catching up on the chat here. They've spent $50K per unit on homeless veteran housing on stolen VA land in Westwood, LA. Yeah, that's the other thing, is a lot of the money that goes through the homeless programs end up being siphoned off by these politicians who end up scamming the programs. It happens constantly. But yeah, Yeah, it's a messed up situation. I the next couple of years are going to be rough, man. I don't know. It's very disturbing where we've gotten, and just the cruelty of people, kind of like I was saying earlier about how they had to just AI generate the thing of the woman crying because they thought that that would be cool and gather more support from their people. So it's just completely insane. We've really reached a crazy point with things. But yeah, I think that brings me to the end of today. I'll be back again tomorrow at 10. Please find me on socials. Send me what you want me to talk about, and because that's definitely helpful. Some days, so I mean, there's always crazy stuff happening, but I also wanna touch on different stuff sometimes. What's happening with ICE is really important, of course, Epstein as well. So those are issues that I try to focus on quite a bit. Oh man, I'm really sorry to hear that bit. The government does suck in that regard. And I really do think that's, we need to be, if there's any point in society, it should be like taking care of the most vulnerable people among us and making sure that people have decent living standards. I mean, generally I don't trust governments to be doing that shit, but here we are in this situation, and governments exist. So if they're the ones who are taking all the money from everybody and putting it in a pot, then they should be using it to actually improve society instead of destroy it. Crazy idea, but yeah, definitely check out my Cold War is World War III video. It is my first major video on the channel. I have my second one coming up, which is about 22nd. Oh yeah, 22nd of the year. The next one is about the history of CIA drug smuggling. So that'll and I'm really happy with what I'm able to do with this new program I'm using. So I think that it will be a lot better. And I think it'll be cool to kind of see the progression over time. I'm trying not to be a perfectionist on every video. I'm just trying to like get things to just do my best and not agonize over every little thing. That way I can learn a little bit every time, and a year from now I'm sure I'll be much better than now. So yeah, and yeah, definitely it really helps out if you subscribe as well. I always forget to say that and shill all my stuff. I have books out which you could probably find and all that, but right now I'm just trying to grow the channel and rebuild my community. Yeah, I'm excited about how things are working out. I'm happy to have you all with me, and it's been good to connect with people of a like mind, because these days, especially online, it's hard to sift through all the noise and the bots and recognize that, oh, actually there are people out there that give a shit about human rights and want the world to be a better place. So yeah, appreciate that. Y'all are great. Well, I will catch y'all tomorrow. And yeah, find me on socials and let me know if you find any stories. Peace.